I remember my first presentation at work, my first job right out of college. I practiced so much. And I rehearsed in front of the mirror, in the kitchen, in the shower. My husband started wearing headphones around the house. And honestly, I get it. There are only so many times a man can hear, "Good morning, my name is Ira Strong, and today I'm gonna talk about," before he starts questioning his life choices. But when I finally gave the presentation, people congratulated me. They told me, "Great job, very well done." And then one comment changed everything. There was a woman in the meeting from New Mexico, a Chicana. And I remember thinking, she will understand. She will understand what it means to live between languages, to think in one, speak in another, and somehow land somewhere in the middle. But her feedback was a little odd. She said that if I didn't have the slides, she wouldn't know what I was talking about. And honestly, that felt cold, unexpected. It hurt. That day I was working from home, so when the meeting ended, I just sat there, defeated, and I thought, what do I do now? So I asked my husband for help. Now, he was right there, and he heard the whole presentation in real time. And he's a native English speaker. So I thought, okay, he will tell me the truth. He looked at me and said, "Yeah, you have an accent, but I understood you perfectly." And then he said something. He thought that that comment was not necessary, and it possibly had a little poison in it. Now, my husband is a very calm person, so when he uses certain words, you know that it was bad. And part of me said, okay, maybe he's right. But another part of me said, what if some people aren't really used to accents? She was from New Mexico. New Mexico, a state that borders Mexico, a state that is named Mexico. So you will think, yeah, everybody might speak Spanish there, but that's probably not the case for everybody. And that's when something deeper clicked. That not all feedback comes from the same place, and not all feedback is given with the same intention. Also, not all feedback is delivered with care. Same presentation, different experience, different interpretations. But in that moment, I consciously made a decision that I will never give feedback like that. Not feedback that shuts someone down, and not feedback that carries poison. I will give constructive feedback, the kind that helps people grow without making them feel small. Because here's the truth. Evaluation is not just about improving a speech. It's about how someone sees themselves after you speak, after you give that evaluation. In Toastmasters, we say evaluation gives feedback, offers improvement, and builds confidence. But in real life, evaluation can build someone or break them. People don't remember every word you say, but they remember how you made them feel. Now, let's talk about something that can be misinterpreted. Sometimes people say on evaluations, when we speak in a speech, they will come and tell something like this: "You didn't project your voice." Or they can say, "You should have been more confident," or "You have failed to connect with the audience," or "Your structure was weak, your gestures were distracting, your eye contact was lacking." And to be honest, at that point, I don't think that's an evaluation. And what's the point, right? It sounds more like a critic or like a crime scene report, because that's not feedback. And the speaker is just sitting there like, am I being evaluated or prosecuted? But here's the good news. We can always fix how we offer feedback. And we don't need to have a psychology degree to attain this goal. We just need to change a few words. For instance, instead of saying you didn't connect, we can say something like, I felt a little disconnected during that part. Instead of saying, you should have used gestures, say, I think gestures could make the message even stronger, right? And that's the same idea. It's a completely different impact. One feels like a verdict, and the other one feels more like a conversation. One says, you failed, and the other one says, I'm on your team. I'm here to help you grow. But we also have to be really careful to not swing to the other extreme and just say things like, you were amazing, that was perfect. Honestly, nothing to improve. You just peaked. That sounds nice, but we both know that that's not true. Because if everything is perfect, nothing improves. So here's the line that I want you to remember. Honesty without kindness is cruelty. And kindness without honesty is useless. So now here's something deeper to remember. When you live between languages, you don't just speak. You translate who you are. And sometimes it feels like you have to be twice as clear, twice as strong, just to be understood once. So when feedback comes, it doesn't just hit your speech, it hits your identity. So yes, I had to improve, but I also had to learn to filter feedback because not all feedback is truth, and not all feedback deserves space in your head. Now, I have a skin thicker than a crocodile. Which sounds funny, but honestly, for a bilingual person in professional space, it's not funny. It's basically a survival skill. Let me leave you with this. That comment, the one that hurt, it stayed with me. Not because it was right, not because it was wrong. It stayed with me because of how it made me feel. And now, every time I evaluate someone, I remember that feeling. And I ask myself, will my words build or break? Because the words we choose in an evaluation don't just improve a speech. They can stay with someone for years. So next time that you stand up to evaluate, choose honesty, choose kindness, choose leadership. Because in this room, we don't just build speakers, we build people. Thank you.